Stop judging me. I'm excited. I don't think I've ever been this excited for a book review.
Okay.
Stop! Leave me alone. Bonjour mon petit chauffeur, Amber here, and I know it's late. I know we're halfway through November, but I am finally coming to do my October books of the month, and I'm very excited. See, I'm not gonna ramble too much. I'm just gonna jump right in. In October, I'm so excited. I finished a series or a duology that I have been in love with since I read the first book earlier this year. And it's the Wrath and the Dawn series by Renee Actia, The Wrath and the Dawn, and the Rose and the Dagger. Yeah, I read this book, The Wrath and the Dawn, in maybe January. I know it was my first books of the month video of this year. So I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'm not going to review this book. I will link my review of this book below, just know that I love it so much. But briefly, this is a retelling of 1001 Nights. Shahrazad or Shazi volunteers to be, oh, hold on, backtrack. Every night, Khalid takes a new, the Caliph or Caliph. Is it Caliph or Caliph? I say Khalid. I just said Khalid. The king of Khorasan takes a new bride. Come dawn, he has her murdered. One of those brides is Shazi's best friend Shiva. She volunteers to be his next bride in order to exact revenge and to kill him. Her plan is to first survive the night and to then take her time learning more about him, learning his weaknesses and how she can use them against him. But she learns that there's more to Khalid than the monster that he has portrayed himself as. That's this book. I love this book. I love the characters. I love the story. I think it's beautifully written. Rereading this book, I loved it just as much. I found myself just as invested, just as overwhelmed, just as in love with the characters and the story. Because sometimes I've reread books and I'm like, why did I like this so much? But it's just as amazing. I found myself swooning at the same parts and just like, yeah, at the same parts. So like I said, if you would like to hear all my thoughts as rambly and fangirly as they were, I will link it down below. But I did have a note that I wrote shortly after filming the review of that book that I did want to mention. I have it. February 2nd, I wrote, before the Rose and the Dagger review, I did want to say that one thing I didn't mention in that video, was, it was about Khalid. Shocker. Well, there are two notes. The first one was about Khalid. I love how quiet but powerful he is, and that carries on into this book. And I think that speaks for itself. He's very quiet in his, not just the way he speaks, but in just his demeanor, but it's very powerful. I'm so good with words. The second note was, I desperately need this to be made into a movie. And I say desperately, just listen to the rest of it, because like, on one hand, yes, I want it to be made into a movie, but on the other hand, don't do this. Don't ruin my books with a movie, which is like a watered down version of my books, because I, more than not, especially recently with the last few books movie adaptations, have been disappointed, and I don't need for this series to veer from the books for movie purposes. Anyway, the rest of my note says, YA needs this. So many Western, yeah, okay, I did. Ooh. So many Western tales are made into movies, and I hate myself. I need Khalid. Anyway, let's talk about the Rose and the Dagger. If you're wondering why I keep looking down, it is because I'm reading my notes so that all my thoughts are more coherent than if I just start talking about this book, because that's not going to end well. Ask my mom. The Rose and the Dagger. I just... Whew. Okay. So So without really spoiling anything, because this is a sequel and I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't read the first book, this book picks up Shazi and Khalid have been separated. Shahzad is determined to break the curse plaguing Khalid and destroying Khorasan, and also to stop the war started by Tariq. That's basically all I can really tell you without spoiling the whole book. This was a lot more less complicated when I was just reviewing the first one, but anyway, there have been a lot of cases where sequels have been quite underwhelming and felt like a lot of filler and fluff, and just like I said earlier, a bridge to, I guess, an ending, a more action-filled ending. This was not the case with the Rose and the Dagger. I found myself just as fully immersed in this world and this story. I enjoyed getting to know new characters, as well as characters that were more minor in the last book, like Ursa and Rahim. Realize I said Rahim and not Tariq because I want to throat punch him. I was hoping for a bit more with Vikram, but oh well. I also really enjoyed the continued development of Khalid and Shazi, I guess as individuals as well as their relationship. Their relationship might just be my favorite that I've ever read. The way Khalid speaks kills me. Ugh. Like, I'm talking like actual butterflies, actual swooning, like he's a real person, and that might mean I need therapy, but I already knew that. This is embarrassing because there are other people in this room as I read this, but pretend you're not listening to me, okay? Cool. Sexy is a word I rarely use when describing people, ooh, especially those of the fictional persuasion, but lordy, Khalid. I feel like my face has gotten so hot, and Shazi is, really? She's so strong, and she's just a boss, and I'm so here for it. There was a great balance in this book of magic and romance, balancing emotional bits and drama and action. There were plot twists that left me reeling. The whole Despina thing, whew, didn't see that coming. But I think that at some point I forgot that this was a duology. So when I got to the end, it just kind of hit me, and there were actual tears because the book was like, this story was over. I mean, I was already crying, and for other reasons. But I think the story ended beautifully and just right. It was right, yeah. Final thoughts are, I'm still hopelessly in love with Khalid Ibn al-Rashid. I honestly don't know what I'm gonna do now that this is over. I'm still holding this book. I know there's another retelling of 1001 Nights. I don't know what it's called, but I remember that they both came out around the same time. Both books came out around the same time, but this is the one that like really caught my attention and grabbed me from the start, and I am happy with my choice to read this one. But I feel to fill the void in my heart now, I might have to read that one or reread these very soon. But if I say this very heavily, there is a movie, a movie is to be made out of these books. Oded Fair, I think I'm saying his name correctly. He's currently playing Jafar on Once Upon a Time. He needs to play Salim because obvi. Yeah, those are my thoughts on the Wrath of the Dawn duology, the Wrath of the Dawn and the Rose and the Dagger. As you can tell, I wasn't that impressed. I'm kidding, I love them, and yeah, I'm thinking I have some videos based on the books and the worlds and just the story coming up, so stay tuned for that. Oh yes, this is the part where I tell you my TBR / currently reading list. Because it's the middle of November, you would think I'd have more done. No. Well, first off, I have read this month Cut by Patricia McCormick, which was a huge deal when I was in middle school, and I've had it for, I think, since I've been in middle school, but I just never got around to reading it. basically about Callie, who is a cutter and she is currently in treatment. And yeah, it's anyway, I've been trying to read for what feels like forever Misery by Stephen King, and as you can see, I still haven't gotten that far into the book, so I'm still reading it. But in the meantime, I also have some annual reading that needs to be done. It is November, and every November for the past, I don't know how many years, I've been reading the same books. So for the 7th time, I'm entering the 74th Hunger Games. I have to do some binge reading if I'm gonna get this done. Today's the 12th, I think. Okay, and I'm really excited because these are some of my favorite books ever. This is my favorite series. Oh look, all my favorite books have the same color scheme. That's lovely. 2 women that have influenced my writing. Anyway, those are my books of the month. Hope you enjoyed me rambling about fictional men. If so, please give this a thumbs up. If you want to see more bookish videos, give this a thumbs up. If you like me, feel free to subscribe. All my places are down there so we can be buds. You can subscribe. I'm not subscribe. Yes, please subscribe. I meant follow me and I'll follow you back and we can be buds. And I'll see you very soon.